with 9 children. When I was a little boy, it was 11 of us in the house at one time.
That's a lot of
And
beans
what-
and rice.
Absolutely. And from that, my mother would find herself giving food away to people that were less fortunate than we, and we didn't have a lot, but that's
Yeah.
just was her heart and her spirit.
Right.
And I think her children have picked up on that as far as giving. And it's easy to give when you have a lot, but can you give when you don't have hardly nothing?
Right.
And so we saw that and witnessed, and even with my father, you know, he was the man that the neighbors would call at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning if they broke down going to work or whatever to help them. And I'll never forget one night, I was a little boy, and he got a call, and mind you, he had to go to work the next morning. And I was in my bed, I'm like, I ain't gonna never be like him. You know, because that was the spirit and the knowledge or understanding of a child.
Right.
But did not know that I was being shaped by watching his community service
That's right.
and my mother giving away. And so, as Paul said, when I was a child, I acted as a child and spoke as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish
Childish
things.
things,
So I have been naturally, and we have been naturally somewhat spiritually engineered to serve.
Right.
And I
So
just
were you
think
that type of kid? Were you just that kid? I mean, did you get spankings or did you get in trouble? Were you ever put in time out? I mean, you know, I want to know the dirts. I want to know the real deal. And I'm sure you do too.
Ooh, you got me laughing and crying.
Yes.
But look, I was a wise child. I did get whippings.
Okay, I was waiting for that.
I got whippings. No
Okay,
time out.
okay, yeah.
Daddy had that black belt. He'd
Right.
get off so fast. But what I did, I learned from my older siblings when they got in trouble.
Well, that's right.
That's why I said I was wise.
Yeah, you see, I was the
I got
oldest,
it.
so I couldn't learn from anybody but my own mistakes. You got it easy.
But also they have stories. My older brother, sometime when they did stuff when I was a smaller, oh, Tracy broke it. He broke it. So I got them out of trouble too. You know what I mean? And they'll tell that story. They said, Daddy gonna be mad, but let's just say Tracy did it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because as a child, I used to like throwing footballs, played ball. So I guess Daddy said, okay, he loved throwing footballs, and that kind of fit whatever narrative my brothers had put out there.
Yeah. So
But-
as a child, you were your typical young man. You got in a little trouble, not trouble, but enough to get a spanking and, you know,
Whooping.
a whoopings. You know, like most of us grew up with whoopings, the real
There
deal.
wasn't no gray area. You got whooped or you didn't.
Oh, you didn't, exactly. You were safe or you weren't. So, but you threw the ball when you were a child, which led you up to, I think you went to Smith Middle School, did
Brown-
you?
Brown
Or
Middle School.
Brown Middle School. Then you ended up at Inslee High School where
High
you
school.
graduated, playing football, quarterback, I believe. You were
Yes,
there, okay?
absolutely.
So you grew up as, you know, your typical young man who started off playing football. You ended up in high school
Sandlot.
playing football. Now, did you start off as a quarterback or did you kind of merge into that position?
Well, I played in Central Park. I was like a center.
Okay.
And so when I went to high school, I knew I could throw the football. I said, well, I want to play quarterback. So I started out freshman year playing quarterback. But I used to like the long snap, just for play. Sometimes I could snap the ball as a center and snap it up and turn around and catch it. I became very good at that and proficient. And so when I played freshman football, Coach Sylvester Campbell, he saw me doing it. I didn't know he was looking, but the center that was out there to do the long snap for punts, he kept overthrowing or underthrowing. And he said, hey, you come here. And so I started long snapping as a freshman and playing quarterback. But by the time my senior year, as the starting quarterback, I went from playing quarterback from first to third down, and on fourth down, I was go to long snap.
Okay.
And that was very unique, you know what I mean? But I said, man, I got one play, I can get them back for trying to sack me, you know what I mean? But yeah, but watching the older guys in the community playing football, most time you couldn't get out there with them. So I'd be on the porch, but I'd be chopping at the bit. I just can't wait till I get out there.
Yeah.
But we played in the street in West End on 15th Street Southwest. We played street ball, and I would see them tackling in the street, concrete, not grass. I wasn't chopping at the bit to get to that part, but
Yeah.
but they helped shaped us and mold us. That was like a community thing. And eventually I played baseball at West End at Jackson Park
Okay.
when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And then my family ended up moving to Dothan, Alabama when I was about 10 or 11. And then they moved back up here to Bellevue Heights and Inslee when I was, actually it was around my birthday
Okay.
when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And that's how I started, you know, eventually.
And that's how you
going
ended
to
up at Inslee High
Right.
School.
But I always wanted to be a West End Lion.
Oh,
I really did until we moved.
Those of you out there who are Inslee graduates, never mind that statement.
No.
It wasn't personal.
I said I wanted to be. But when I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Okay, so wisdom kicked in, and now you
Then
graduated from
God
Inslee.
made a move. He shifted the atmosphere.
Yes.
And I'm so proud to be an Inslee Yellow Jacket.
Okay, make sure you make that plain now, because you have a lot of folks at this
And the
party who
Sting-
graduated
the
from
Sting is
Inslee.
back, and they'll be here. They are here tonight.
Yeah, I know it.
See, I heard them say E-Dog. See, that's them
Yeah,
right there.
see,
right
but
now.
they cringed when you said you always wanted to be
Yeah,
West End
West End Lion.
Lion.
Because-
They cringed, but
Because
he
some of
came
those
on back.
players, and one of my brothers was a trainer for the team.
Okay.
And my daddy, even back then, a lot of the young men, father either didn't go to the games or they did not have a father. But so daddy was we had a station wagon, and they were like, Mr. House, you going to the game? And he'll load the young men up and take them to the
Wow.
game, you know. So, and I'll never forget this one player called Chico. And he was a phenomenal running back at that age. I have not forgot him to this day. Yeah, Chico Johnson, one of the baddest running backs probably ever ran on the football field. Shout out to you, Chico.
See, I'm still giving shout out. God just trains you to be resilient. And for that, I think that it is very it's amazing. You know, when I sit here and we're talking to everyone and just you're sharing with us your story, and we look back at this track, you know, and it really extends up. You may not be able to see all of it, but the track just extends up, and it just represents the journey,
Absolutely.
if you will. It represents your journey. I don't, you know, it's you can see there's no one on this track but maybe Brother Muhammad. So some of this he had to travel alone. There were people, the man was put in place. I believe God puts people in different places, but out of your adversity, some people will come out of this angry and become self-indulged. But you, sir, even out of all of this, you're still giving, you're still kind, you're still very mindful of other people's giftings and still wanting to push them and provide platforms. And I'm going to tell you something, guys, and those of you who know him, you know him to be this as well. This is one of the things he's always shared with me. He said, Clarissa, all I got is my word. All I have is my word. If I don't have my word, what do I have?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, my dad, what's so special about him to me is that he never knew his dad. His father passed when he was 3 years old. He was out working, a limb hit his leg, developed gangrene, something that he might live with now, but then they didn't have the resources or he couldn't get to the proper place, so he ended up passing. So he never knew his father. Now, I was in a previous marriage, and I had a daughter named Amira, and I thank God for her mother to this day too, in that relationship. And we have to be so careful that if we in the relationships are married and things may not work out, that we don't have to talk bad against
That's
anybody.
right.
I was grateful, you know, for that time because it's a learning thing. But my wife and I, we met. My late wife, Sister Nasira Sadet Muhammad, at the mosque. I had been in the nation probably 7, 8 years or so. And she ended up coming in and progressing throughout the nation. And I saw her, but I wasn't like, you know, very nice looking young sister. But there are a lot of nice looking young sisters. So when you go through what I went through a divorce, you're not superficial no more. If you're looking for somebody, and I wasn't looking for her at the time. I'm just making a point.
Right.
But eventually, one time after mosque meetings, we would go to a restaurant. Believers would go and sit down and eat. And just so happens she was sitting in front of me.
Okay.
On the track.
Okay.
But anyway, that was like, okay. But eventually, somebody, I don't know, it was the student minister at the time, Theo, or somebody said, well, they wanted to know from everybody at the table, what do they want to do in life? What was their plans? And what they like to do?
Right.
And so they went around to everybody, and eventually they got to her. And she said, well, I like working with young people, you know, going out in the community working with young people. And I kind of sit up in my seat.
Oh, here we go.
Because that year,
Yeah.
that's my life.
Right.
Work has been with young people.
So that
It
was
wasn't the
God.
looks, it
That was
wasn't-
God's bait on the hook.
Apparently so. But I'm saying
Okay.
that for a serious reason.
Yeah, yeah.
That the beauty is one thing, how people look, but he that has an ear.
Yeah.
When I heard those words, I kind of like said, "Ooh, you know, that was what got me." And then when eventually they came around to me, I didn't have to make it up like being deceitful.
Right.
I knew that would have been my life.
Right, right.
Still not knowing that she was going to be my wife, but that was like my ears were tuned in. You know what I mean?
You know, God has a beautiful way of doing things, and He
Yeah.
knows us as individuals. He created us, so He knew that. Okay, she's cute, but I gotta do a little bit more for this brother right here for him to get this as his wife. So I think that's beautiful, just to see that you guys had kind of a kindred spirit, if you will,
Absolute purpose.
at that time. So how long did you guys date before you got
We
married?
didn't what you call date. We kind of courtship type thing.
Courtship, okay, courtship.
And so there's a saying in the nation: you court short, and marry long. So
Well,
in
okay,
courtship,
okay.
you have, you know, you like interview this person, you talk to that person. In court, you have the prosecutor and the defense attorneys.
right.
And like you going back and forth, serious questions, and eventually you hope you can get to a verdict.
Right.
And you can
Okay.
decide, hey, if you this person based on what they're saying, and da da da. And somebody said, well, what if somebody just said something to say something? I said, you can always write down the answers and come back 3 weeks later and ask the same question.
Right.
If they say the same thing, you know they're telling the truth.
That's right.
So it's serious business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This part of it is very serious in a relationship. The compatibility and the purpose part of it. So eventually, I think we were in courtship from November to January the 5th is when I, asked her
Okay.
to marry me.
Right.
And
That
it
was
was
short.
It was her birthday.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
so it was her birthday was January the 5th, and we were out. Some of the people that was a part of the courtship process with us. And got to the point we was eating, and then they brought out a cake, and at the restaurant they sang happy birthday to her.
Right. Right.
And I had Brother Maurice, he had got another cake after the cake. And on the second cake it said, will you marry me? So when she
Aw,
looked at the
sweet.
cake, she looked at the second one, and she just looked at it. Her mind didn't process the words. And so it was some of the people that were like, hey, look at the words, look at the words. And she said, will you marry me? And so she, of course, she couldn't resist, you know what I mean? But
Do y'all you hear this? See, he was so serious, and within a half second, the humility of this man is just words can't describe.
well, when people compliment the children, my children, our children, I knew that she was the one that spent that time, and I knew she invested. I supported,
Right.
and she liked it. She homeschooled them, so she got to spend some time with them. So I just didn't want to steal from her in life or in her transition.
Right.
I had to let that be known that was her. I was the supporter, but she did that work, and to God be the glory. And I tell people she left me a wealthy man because our wealth was in our children.
That's right. That's right.
So definitely.
So and it's just wonderful, and I think, because I don't want to stay on that too long, but you experienced.
And I want you to feel comfortable
Okay.
by asking me anything concerning.
But I'm comfortable in asking anything.
I
now,
know,
Tracy.
but I
You
know it's a
that.
sensitive time. It's a sensitive thing.
Right. But see, we want to try to keep it on you.
Yeah.
We're celebrating you.
To God be the glory.
We're celebrating. This is the day for you. Actually, this is the day the Lord has made.
Let us rejoice.
Let us rejoice and
Be
be
glad.
glad in it. And it just happens to be that day that He made you. So we're rejoicing in that tonight. And so I want to keep it on you a little bit, just as much as I
That's
can. But now we're at a point that you had to face a very difficult time in your life, where your wife transitioned went home to be with the Lord. So now you're at a place to where you are alone, and that's a lack of a better term. You have your children. You're looking and you're saying, okay, now I have to develop a new norm, as much as that would be. At that point, what was it that gave you the strength to move on? And I know, we know it's God, but what were some of those things that just pushed you to say, you know what, I can do this, I can do this? Or did you ever have that moment where you said, you know what, I don't think I can do this?
Absolutely not. But what I was trying to do at the beginning is to make it just like she had it.
Right.
And I was walking in the living room, and I got this emotion like heavy. And God elevated my spirit.
Say that one more time.
I said, God elevated my spirit.
Your spirit, yes.
My
Yes.
consciousness. Like, no, you can't do it like her. You can't make it like it was. If that's the case, you wouldn't have needed her anyway.
Right.
See? So that kind of relieved like a heaviness from me. I could just do my role. And what she invested in them was already in them, my children. And so, you know, I just knew that my role as a husband, I did all I could do. And they watched it, they witnessed it, and I didn't deserve or look for applause. That's what I was supposed to do. And with my children, no. I don't look for the applause. I get them, but I don't look for them. That's what I'm supposed to do. And every man should have a spiritual connection with God, and he should have the word in him so he could be a minister to his wife and children. His wife could be a minister to him, and the children can minister
Right.
to us.
Right.
But the
Absolutely.
word has been like when I was in the military, that situation happened. It was the word that sustained me. And all during this process, it's been God's word. I can't say nothing else. I had a deep well to draw from. And it was a very difficult. But I never focused on the loss. I focused on the gratitude with God and thanking him for that time on that track.
Yeah.
Because I knew that, and I know that every relationship comes to an end. We don't know when. And but I knew that I had experienced something with her that was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Those who came to comfort her when she was going through left comforted by her. I saw that. How you could be wounded and not broken. You could be on a cross but still giving blessings. Somebody go through what she went through, many people do. And then to see her take it that way. And the last word she told our children at the hospital was, she rose up in her bed with a respirator and saw him at the end of the bed. She said, "Y'all don't worry about me, I'm in the hands of God." And that was so powerful for me. And I told them later on, don't ever forget what your mother said. She didn't say, I'm in the hands of your father. Me. She didn't say, I'm going to be. She said, I'm in the hands of God.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to say something that's very important because I'm not concerned about my legacy. I'm not doing what I do for that. That's for somebody else. I just want to do gospel. That's it. Legacy, I'm not thinking about it. And you attract, of course people applaud me, but that attracts hate too. And I'm okay with that. I'm not looking at my next step. I'm just doing what God had me doing right now. And I think that's important for the younger people to know because they get recruited by older people to get them to do certain things so they can promote them and then they'll use them and remind them how you got to where you are. Nobody can say that with me. I'm free.